Hey there friends, what's going on? It's Kodiak here. Welcome back to another Helldivers 2 video. I've got some exciting news to share. Daily missions are coming back to the game on March 5th around 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This was all confirmed on the official Helldivers 2 Discord thanks to Twinbeard. Now, those mysteriously disappeared about a week after launch, and by my opinion and my estimation, those really crippled the progression system. It is great to see daily missions coming back because they add that extra layer of incentivization and just that extra layer of interesting content to the game. There were daily missions where you had to use something like the anti-material rifle, get 50 kills of a certain enemy type, things like that, which just changed the dynamic of the game enough to make it interesting. Lack of incentivization is partially why we saw some people leave the game. Some of those folks even uninstalled the game because they didn't feel like their efforts were being valued by the game and there wasn't enough of a carrot on a stick. And I totally get that. The community-driven outcomes of this game, things like the Galactic War and how Joel, everybody knows Joel at this point, right? How Joel's influence on the game is understood is still very murky, and it's really hard to collectively rally behind this when you don't understand all of the forces at play. So as a community, we look at something like completing 8 objectives, but then we collectively fail. Well, how is that so? Why is that so? When you look at these objectives collectively, whether it's defending planets or liberating planets, and seeing how that influences the Galactic War, and seeing changes happening behind the scenes but not understanding them, you're left with more questions than answers. Those daily missions provided near instantaneous gratification, they were easy to accomplish, and ultimately, they allowed folks to progress just a little quicker, and I think that's really important. All of this makes me really think about the groundwork that the team is laying here. They are building a foundation from which they can build the rest of the Helldivers 2 experience on. They're working to rectify these small issues before declaring what I believe will be the first major update and what's going to be in that patch. Now, the team has to be careful here. If they're trying to get this game to be perfect before they release what's coming next, it might be too late. Now, very strong emphasis on the word might, because we are still seeing incredibly strong numbers every weekend, with only a slight decrease from peak concurrent player count on PC. There was a post circulating recently that showed Helldivers 2 had passed 750,000 concurrent players across PC and PlayStation 5. And while that's not an official number confirmed by the Arrowhead Games team, we know we're close. Now, that's not record-breaking this year. Palworld still does hold that title, but it is damn impressive for a game that didn't even peak past 10,000 concurrent players for its original title. If we look at what I just said about them trying to iron out some of the remaining issues before introducing new content, well, there are still some really big things that they need to tackle. First and foremost is armor mitigation, which is still not working. This has been an issue since day one, and it's impacting the current landscape of the game. For those that are unaware, light armor is still king. From a defensive perspective, all the armors are exactly the same because mitigation isn't working. By wearing light armor, you can move faster and you have less stamina penalties. So, light armor is king until this gets fixed. Armor penetration is something there is still a lot of mystery around, and this does tie into a larger issue with weapon balance. Now, the CEO of Arrowhead Games did go on Twitter the other day and talk about armor pen. For those that don't know, armor pen is a value between 0 and 10. If the armor pen is equal to the enemy's armor value, the damage is 50%. If the armor pen beats the armor, you do 100%. If armor penetration is less than the armor value, the bullets ricochet. This all ties into a larger issue with weapon balance. Currently, there are just a few viable options. We've got the breaker shotgun and the slugger shotgun, which outperform almost everything else. Options like the DMRs and the submachine guns just don't stack up against these high damage, high performing weapons. The question is, will the team work on a major balance pass before a major update, or will those things line up together? Now, I do think it's important to focus in on buffing weapons, not nerfing the current meta. It's incredibly relevant in a PvE game, especially when the difficulty is already so well tuned and in some cases over-tuned. I think the key is to give more powers to the player, not take power away. We saw this very clearly with Outriders when we were covering that game. The team kept nerfing and nerfing and nerfing, trying to get everything in line, but what they were doing was isolating players that had grown accustomed to a certain playstyle instead of buffing other items to give them more options. I do believe this needs to get accomplished before the first major update, and I'll tell you why. By buffing items and giving players new options, it gives them time to experiment with weapons they've probably never used or only used once or twice. It'll also help break the current meta before a new one is inevitably formed with the introduction of new content. So there is no shortage of things for the Arrowhead Games team to work on. They are slowly chipping away at things that are broken. I'm sure they're working on new features that are coming to the game. We've of course talked about all of the leaks with mechs and vehicles, but if they're going to chip away at all of these things before announcing an update, well, it begs the question, where the heck is the roadmap? That is the single most important thing to secure the longevity of this game, is releasing a roadmap and letting players know where the team is going. Now, the CEO of Arrowhead Games did say that the roadmap was out of date thanks to the success of the game, and of course, they've got a flood of new resources coming in. Why would you not re-look at your roadmap? Because if you're expecting 20,000 players to play this game, your roadmap is going to look drastically different as opposed to having 750,000 players playing your game. So of course, take it back to the drawing board, figure out some of those big ticket items that you wanted to introduce, but you didn't have the resources. Well, now the team has the resources, but they need to get out in front and show folks what they're thinking for this game and the future of this game, because there's so much they can do. There is so much hype still around this game, but that will not last forever. So a lot more to come. Hope you guys are excited about daily missions coming back to Helldivers 2. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.